Hey, ladies. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Um, we are going to talk, and I know we've kind of talked about bodies a little bit before, but Tamara and I were getting ready for our workout this morning, and I think we spent like 25 minutes just yammering about bodies, and then we're just like, that's what we need to talk about today, because we were just saying how like, yeah, we might have like a little bit of a mom shelf, when you sit down and you get that little lap over your jeans or whatever. But I did use some explicit words, and I was like, but I have abs. So like, I'm strong, I'm powerful, and just because I don't like have all the shredded out stuff going on, which, I'm going for it. I'm hoping to one day get there. But at this time, just working through my own limiting beliefs about my body and around my body, around food and about weight and all of these different things that I've just acquired over, I don't know, the last probably 20 years. Uh, Now I'm sorting through that, and I'm figuring out what I want, what serves me, what honors me, and what doesn't.
Hmm. I love it. Love it. Yeah, there was definitely an insert of some words for Dev before the abs, but I loved it so much because I was like, yes, like our bodies are incredible. Mom bodies, not mom bodies, like whatever body you have, that is the body that you were gifted with. And it is incredible. Whether you have stretch marks or cellulite or that little like mom tummy, right? That Dev was talking about.
Mhm.
It's amazing and it's strong. And if we can pick up our kids and we can run after them and we can do all of the things that we do that our body needs us to do, that makes us amazing. And those
Mhm.
little things that show up in the size of our clothes and the number on the scale, they don't define us and they don't matter because that
No.
doesn't make up who we are. Who we are is, that gut laugh that we have, the characteristics that we have, the things that other people fall in love with that make us who we are.
Mhm.
This body is just what's here to carry our spirit through our life, and we get to love it and honor it and show up for it, but it
Mhm.
doesn't make us who we are.
No, but it's also one of those things too where I think that we we pick up things, and like, well, what I was talking about with like the kids, where I've been like, oh, I you guys are the reason that I have these stretch marks and this loose skin and stuff, and like we point the finger at them, and it's like, no, I'm the reason that I have that loose skin and the stretch marks. And yes, having them, but like, may have created some of that, but at the same time, like, I was thinking, when we were talking this morning, I was like, my mom didn't have any stretch marks, she did not have any loose skin, her stomach went back, but I really fixated on it,
Mhm, mhm.
and I ended up having stretch marks and loose skin from like my first one.
Yeah,
So like, I didn't even have to add the other children on there, just from like right out the door. So like, what you
you can
fixate
just
on.
blame one of them. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
that's right. Just the first one. No, but and and that's not fair for me to say like as if it's a
Mhm.
bad thing that I have this loose skin and
Yes.
these stretch marks. It's like, no, it's not. It's actually our culture and what our culture is throwing in our faces about how we have to
Mhm.
have perfect bodies that actually most people don't have. I'm going to argue to
Mhm.
say most people in the
Yes.
world don't have these perfect bodies. And yes, there are women that are just like super super fit and they work really hard, and they like,
Mhm.
I'm talking women because that's what we are. But
Yes.
um I don't know, like, there's beauty, and that's the thing is like, we sit back and we say, oh, there's beauty in all shapes and sizes, but yet we bully ourselves, we beat ourselves up when we have a little roll rolling over our
Mhm.
jeans. But I can guarantee you that there is some woman out there who has 150 pounds to lose or 50 pounds to lose that would gladly have what we have.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
yet we beat ourselves up for it.
Right? And I think of like those women who wish that they had that because they want to be moms and they can't. Right?
Hmm.
And like I was saying this morning, Deb, when we were talking, like these bodies that we have and these mom tummies, like, would we ever give up the most incredible gifts that we were ever given, which are our children, to have our bodies that we had when we were 18. Absolutely not.
No.
And our
I'm
kids look
like,
at us.
I'm just sorry. I'm just like thinking, I'm like, absolutely not, because I probably looked like a 12-year-old boy. So, like, I actually have curves now. I literally was a stick.
I mean, when I was 18, at least like the girls were perky and not, you know.
Um,
But I
well, my
mean,
girls were like super small, so you know,
if
it was
I could have
after I had.
anything, it would be those.
Well, yeah, yeah.
But
Go a
you
little
know,
more, do a little more push-ups, and then we can get
yeah,
there.
and like build those chest muscles behind there.
That's right. That's right.
But for real, like
Yeah.
I would never ever wish to not have these children that I have. And one of the breakthroughs that I actually had recently was on just like having that mummy tummy. And the beliefs that I had carried were definitely like from my childhood, listening to my mom talk negatively about herself. And I created this belief that when you become a mom, your stomach is gross. And that is such a horrible thing to carry. I mean, Raylan is 14, and I just had a breakthrough on that, to be
Yeah.
able to let go of that. And I think it's so powerful for me to be able to say that because I love all of me, Raylan can love all of her. Because I didn't get to have that self-love experience with myself at that age because of the insecurities that my mom had and the beliefs that I created around that. And it feels so good to just say that my daughter is confident because I'm confident and because I don't let her feel those things that I had to feel, and that I can let go of those things and break that cycle. Because just like having conversations with my mom, that has gone on for generations in her
Mm.
family. And I don't want to feel that anymore. And I don't want Braylon to ever feel that. And I don't want my boys to ever think that that's how they're supposed to feel when their wives have babies. And so it just feels really good to be able to break through those limiting beliefs and stories that I've created around my body so that I can set this really good example for my daughter and my sons.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like we could be sending like our bodies mixed messages too, like about what we expect from it. And like we were talking about that, not this morning, but just the other day, how like, you know, we go to this place where we're like, yeah, I want to do like 60 push-ups and I want to like be able to hike up mountains. And like, so what does that require? Does that require you to be skinny, to
Mm-hmm.
be thin, or does that require you to be strong? And so we
Yes.
think that we want to be this like model that's on this magazine that's super lean, super thin, but actually I want to be able to chase my kids like you were
Yeah.
talking about, and I want to be able to go bike riding with them, and I want to go hiking, and I want to be able to um, you know, do 60 push-ups, and that doesn't look the same at all.
Yes.
Like you're talking about someone, like when I think about it, I'm like, okay, so in my brain, this is just me, like I'm not blaming anyone else out there. In my brain, I'm thinking about like this really, really thin person that I used to be, and I used to eat a lot. Like I would just eat and eat and eat and eat, and I just was very lean. And but I was so lean that I actually looked like I used to get comments like, oh, you don't look healthy, like you actually look like you could be anorexic,
Mm-hmm.
and you look like you don't eat enough, and you're really pale, and like, you know, whatever, like just comments. And you don't really think about it, but it does like really affect you, and it really hurts. So I think my belief system that I developed around hearing that was that being skinny was gross,
Mm-hmm.
that I looked gross, and that looking at me hurt for people to look at me.
Right.
And like that, like just thinking about that is like so crushing to my spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I understand that there's like the aspect of like being made fun of when you are overweight, but there's also the aspect of being made fun of when you're underweight. And that hasn't been my case for a while, but I still took this belief system.
Mhm.
with me from when that was a thing for me. And I think that's why I've just like held on to this weight, and I didn't need to. And I was saying to you this morning that like I just had like this intuitive mindset come over me where I was like feeling my stomach, feeling where and I was like, I don't need you anymore. Like you've served your purpose, you've done your job, you've helped
Yeah.
me carry babies. I've lived a like really good life, and I'm still living a great life, but I don't need you. You
Mhm.
can like let go of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And I just had like that conversation with my body just before we worked out.
And I love that so
So
much.
yeah,
And I
I
think
just
it's so powerful just to like to recognize that yes, we are moms, but that doesn't mean that we have to refer to our bodies as mom bodies. They're beautiful, amazing bodies just because
and
we're
what does that mean?
yes. And that is like that thing that we picked up on where there's like, why does there have to be mom bodies and not mom bodies? Like all bodies are bodies and they're amazing, regardless of
Hmm.
whether you've carried babies or you haven't carried babies.
Yeah, it really doesn't. It doesn't. It's just putting a derogatory term on something that doesn't need to be derogatory. It's not
Yeah.
necessary. It's actually unnecessary. And when I used to work in the classroom, you know, I would used to ask the kids, is it helpful? Is it necessary? Is it kind? And
Yeah.
if it's not those things, then don't say it.
Yeah.
So don't say it to yourself and don't say it to anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're all on this journey learning to love ourselves, learning to love these bodies that we live in. And I think it's good to recognize that, like, Dev's belief systems are built from her experiences, and mine are built from my experiences, and they're completely different. And if we
Mhm.
think about how different that's going to be for thousands and thousands of women, we have to be sensitive to those things when we're having conversations with other women too. You know, the ones who wish that they could have babies, the ones that aren't babies. Like, I feel like there's so much comparison around what our bodies should look like as women. And actually, the more that I'm like doing these breakthroughs and working on this self love and learning to just love all of me for me, it drives me insane to think about all of that comparison that there is. Like, we need to just love our bodies. I would never look at Deb and be like, Deb, like those cellulite dimples on your butt, like not pretty to look at. I'm the type of person that's like, ooh, let me touch your bum. I know maybe that's too
And if
much,
you
but like,
did that, Tamara, I'd probably like hike my like my bathing suit. I'm assuming I'm in a bathing suit. I'd actually probably hike it in like up my butt further, so you'd have to look at more.
right? But like,
Be
we
like, what this?
this, we would never say that to like our best friends. We would never say that to our moms. We would never say those
No.
things to our daughters. Why are we comparing anybody's body to anybody's body, especially
Hmm.
our own?
Yeah. It's actually kind of crazy because when you break it down and you get down to the basics of who we are, as people, as human beings, our bodies have little to do with the beauty of the soul.
Yeah.
And also, not only that, like when we were talking this morning, and I had told you like this year is my like my journey, my physical fitness journey, my health
Yeah.
journey, what that looks like. So I've been learning a lot of different things about what that does look like for me, as far as what I eat, how I feel about the food I'm putting in my body, what I'm doing, how much I'm exercising, you know, walks that I'm going on, just my daily activity. Like even right now, I can tell you I'm at 17,000 steps
Yeah.
today.
You're moving your
So,
body.
yeah, I'm moving my body, but what we were talking about was that like starting with your physical body is like a progression of all your other areas that you're trying to connect to. So like
Yeah.
connection, wealth, and your like power beliefs, like how you feel about yourself. And um, so, but when you start with your physical, I think that is so cool. And I think this is why like for some reason I just felt it and I was like, this is the year. And it feels like all of my friends that I'm really good friends with are all like, yes, like
Mm-hmm.
this is that time, right? And I think it's because when you realize that when you start with your physical, how you feel about yourself inside, breaking through limiting beliefs, all that stuff, then manifests to the outside. And so
Yes.
you're not waiting on like the universe to deliver money to like connection, that kind of like where you have to work. It's like an external thing. We're talking about an internal thing that's happening, and then it comes out
Yeah.
externally. So
I
how
wrote
you
a
feel about food, and that does
yes.
affect your body. And
Absolutely. I shared a post about that today, and I was just talking about like how amazing it is to look back on my transformation of 4.5 years into this journey where I really committed to figuring out this whole health thing. But how that is not the only thing that has changed, where there's been so much growth internally. And now I can look at it and I can see that the external transformation is a direct reflection of that growth that's come from inside of me. And I was just talking about how like people are so curious all the time, like, what's your secret? Like my secret is to take care of my body, to move, to work on loving myself as much as I can on this whole entire journey, to focus more on changing my mind than changing my body, and to just keep showing up. Like
Mhm.
there's no secret other than that. I'm showing up for me and I'm doing the work.
Yeah.
And that is a reflection of what I'm doing. When you look at that physical transformation that I have, it's not just eating healthy and working out, and those are what I'm doing. There's so
Mhm.
much more that's happening, especially in the last 6 months.
Mhm. Well, and like we were talking to this morning about like how we get like it to this place where we almost set ourselves up for like sabotage, right? Like
Mhm.
we'll like on the weekend, I was telling you, I'm like, yeah, I didn't do like leg day and I didn't do cardio flow. But I was freaking chucking logs around. So like I was doing things, like I was moving my body, I was active, I was going
Yeah.
for walks on like rocky bouldery beaches that are very uneven. So there's a lot of things just normally we do, and we don't accredit to that, and we just sit there, and I see it quite often where like we'll sit back and we'll be like, well, I didn't do this, so now I'm going to double up or I'm going to triple up on this because I didn't get this done. So
Yes,
now
like a
I
form
need
of
to,
punishment.
yes, so I need to punt, like, and not saying, like, not actually saying that, but that's what
Yes.
you're saying, you are saying that because you're
Yes.
saying that because you didn't do this, now you have to do A, B, C, and
Yeah.
you have to do it in one day. But instead, we need to realize, like, and this is something that I've really been starting to figure out and that we've been talking about, is this is a lifestyle. So this
Yes.
is not just like for the next year and then I'm done. So I
Mhm.
have to give everything I have. This is me making a commitment to myself where I'm saying, yes, I'm taking this next year to work on my health and fitness goals, but this is for the rest of my life. So if I miss 2 days going into the weekend, I'm probably just not going to do them because I
Yeah.
was freaking doing squats and rolling logs.
Yeah.
Like, and
Absolutely.
that's okay. Or
Yes.
if with food,
Yes.
food is the same thing. It's like, you know what? Eating half a pizza is not going to give you a stomach, and it's not going to give you
No.
it doesn't, it's not, it's finding balance. And the problem is when we self-sabotage and
Yeah.
we're like, oh shit, oops, maybe I shouldn't have sworn. But we get to
It's
that
the
place
point
and
to
we're
cross
just
that.
like, well, clearly I have already wrecked it, so I'm going to spend the entire weekend eating
Just
everything that I want.
binging.
Yeah, it doesn't make me feel good. And then you know what? What's the point of working out? I need to wait till I get to this perfect place where I'm mentally ready. And it's like, no, you just need to take action right now.
Yeah. And practice letting go of that guilt of, oh, dang, I didn't do a workout. Like, you know what? I was talking to Dad this morning. I was like, if you're going to do a 21-day program and it takes you 40 days, you still showed up and you did it. It doesn't matter if you didn't do those workouts on the weekend. Instead of sitting there
Hmm.
saying, oh man, Saturday I didn't do my 30 minutes of cardio, like what a failure. What did you do for the other 23 and a half hours of your day that you can
Yeah.
pick out to be grateful for? And were you living? Were you having fun? Were you laughing? Were you making memories? Because
Yeah.
I feel like we don't allow ourselves to be okay with that, and to
Yeah.
just love the fact that we're living this one life that we're given. And if we don't do 30 minutes of cardio, that's okay, because we know that we're going to show up come Monday, because this is a lifestyle. And that was one thing that I shared in my post today, where I was like, 4.5 years. I didn't say 4.5 days of quick fixes and my journey's done.
Mm-hmm.
This is a journey. I'm going to be showing up every day, whether I'm doing a workout from the program that I'm doing, or whether I'm climbing a mountain with my family, or whatever it is. I'm still going to be taking care of me and showing up in a way that serves me, whether that means pressing play and doing 30 minutes of weightlifting where somebody's telling me what to do, or running around outside with my kids, jumping on the trampoline, whatever it's going to be,
Mm-hmm.
because this is part of who I am and what I do.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think there's like this huge liberation going on right now where we're seeing a lot of posts, and there's people that are really becoming more popular on social media, like the Birds Papaya and stuff.
Oh,
That
yes.
right, where they're just like, this is my body and I love my body where it's at. Like there's nothing, like, let's normalize this. And I've actually
Yeah,
been
and stop
seeing a
trying to
lot of
change.
yeah, and I've been seeing a lot of actually posts on TikTok where these girls are like wearing like really high top pants, and then
Mm-hmm.
they like pull them down over their stomach, and like they've got all the loose skin, and they're like, hey, I'm a mom, like it can look real good when I pose a certain way and I have my
Yes.
pants like holding everything in, but there's all this stuff going on, but I love myself.
Yeah, and that's like the highlight reels that we get caught up in, the things that tell us how we should be. And I think it's super important, because I just said like how we need to not focus so much on changing our body. It's okay to want to change it. It's okay to want to work towards abs or leaner bodies or stronger or whatever it is. But if we're working towards those things, it should be because we're loving our body and we want to be stronger, and we want to push ourselves a little more and see what we're capable of, not because
Hmm.
we hate ourselves or
Yeah.
because we're disgusted at whatever part of our body we feel like isn't good enough or isn't okay.
Hmm. Well, and then like also, like, how about let's trust our bodies?
Yes, same as
Because
you.
like get rid of the mind, like get rid of the crap that's up here, get rid of the crappy mindset that tells you that like no matter what you do, it's never going to be enough,
Mm-hmm.
or it doesn't matter what you eat, you're always going to gain weight.
Yeah. And I
There's all these
mean,
crappy belief systems in
yes.
here, but if we would just let those things go, and
Yeah.
we would love our bodies, and we would trust our bodies to do what
Yes.
they need, our bodies know what to do.
Right. And I think especially as moms, like, hello, we carry babies and push them out.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever way you had your baby, that is a miracle in itself that our bodies could do that. And what did we do? We showed up, we took care of our bodies, and we trusted the process.
Mhm.
The exact same
Mhm.
thing with our bodies in general, is to treat them well and to love them and to live our life, and everything
Mhm.
else is just going to follow if we just keep showing up and working through those things.
Yeah. Well, and like the men in our lives too, like I I can't speak for every man, but I know like our men, they're not
Mm-hmm.
looking at our bodies and being like, that's disgusting. Can you put that away, please?
Yes,
You
absolutely.
know? It's not like that. So, like, yeah, there's just, and if I'm sorry, but if your man is doing that to you, like, I don't really know what to say about that right now. There's probably some really not kind words
Right?
that
I feel
will
like
be
that
coming
would
out of
be
my mouth.
something super hard. And like,
Mhm.
I am the kind of person that I don't love wearing clothes. Like, I really feel like they're silly. So the kids will be like, oh, mom's not wearing pants again. Like, I want my kids to know that they don't have to hide their bodies. They don't have to cover. I mean, clearly we can't go to Walmart without pants on, but
Mhm.
like, I just
You
feel
could
like
try,
we could
but
try. I just feel like it's super important for my kids to feel comfortable around bodies in general. There's nothing gross about bodies. And I love that I can teach my kids that bodies are beautiful, whether you're a man or a woman or you have a mom tummy or whatever, right? Our bodies are amazing. I don't want to ever have my kids think that their bodies are gross. And when I think about the things that I thought about my own body, it makes me so sad to think that my kids would feel that way about themselves, because I don't look at them like that. I love every little bit of them.
Yeah.
And I think we need to really start working on loving every little bit of ourselves, just like we love every little bit of our babies or our husbands. We don't sit there picking their bodies apart. Or you're having a conversation with your best friend. Are you laughing and having a good time? Or are you looking for something that's wrong with their body? Like we don't do that, but we somehow do that to ourselves.
Well, and that's where, like, we keep talking about belief breakthrough and all that kind of thing. That's where this part of the process is super helpful to like figure out what you're actually feeling about your body, and just having like a quick thought and then deciding that you want to think something different, and what does that look like and how can you act on it? So like there's been like I just had this is an interesting conversation I had over the weekend where this woman was like, I don't even know how it came up, but I just overheard her across the fire, and she was like, yeah, sit-ups are really bad for you. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, they're really bad for your back. And I was like, oh, like, why? And she's like, well, it puts strain on your back. And I was like, hmm. And that was pretty much the end of the conversation, and she said, oh, leg lifts are better. And I was like, those are harder, in my opinion.
And I think of how much we've been learning in our workouts about using our core, and how we should not be feeling any of that in our back.
No. And like, I was like, so I'm like, yeah, so keep your back flat on the ground. And this person said, well, no, you can have a little bit of an arch. And I was like, not for many of the programs I've done. And I don't claim to be a fitness expert because I'm not, but I've done enough programs now where they're like, you keep your back on the ground, and if your back starts lifting, then you are going too far.
Use those core muscles.
So, but if that's her truth, that sit-ups are hard on your back, then they're
and your truth was that you could not do sit-ups.
And now I can do weighted, like I can do weighted sit-ups like nobody's business, and I can do like friggin' with my knees. I couldn't do any of that stuff, and I can do the leg lifts.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do it to where I'm comfortable. So it just shows you that like everyone's perception's different. Everyone has different belief systems in place that they believe to be 100%
and it's okay
true.
to all have our own opinions about them, because we all have our own beliefs about them.
But that's not my truth. So instead of getting into any kind of argument about it, because that would be pointless, I just didn't say anything. I was like, okay, if that's how you feel. I know how I feel about sit-ups, and I know how good I feel about them. But I also know, like, when I'm doing a sit-up, I'm like squeezing my glute muscles. I'm squeezing my core. I'm pulling my belly button into the back to engage everything so that I can not pull my back. Right? So like I just think, and this correlates back to like what we were kind of talking about before, where you're like, we got to be understanding of other people's perspectives on their bodies and their limitations. And we do. And like, but there is one thing that I was watching in my conference today, my Belief Breakthrough conference, is that if you want someone to break through, they want to break through, you can never feed into their story. But they have to be wanting to do like a breakthrough, right? So you can't be feeding into their story, and you can't be feeding into the victimhood of that story. So you can't be like coming from a place of compassion where you're like, oh yeah, oh, you believe that? Oh, I'm so like, you can't feed, you have to come from a place of neutrality. How do you say that? Neutrality. Yeah.
Yes. I was like, if we put it in like 2 words and put them together. Yes, that works.
But yeah, you have to be really neutral in the situation, and that's the case of this. And so if you can constantly, when you have the thoughts of your body or your food thoughts or that kind of stuff, and you can go to that neutral place and then try and figure out what exactly is it that you're picking up on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's got to be something there. So yeah, it's bodies is always a hot topic. I kind of love discussing it, but
Mhm.
you know, there might be some people that don't like it, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's totally okay. There's something else I was gonna say about our bodies.
Oh,
There's lots of things to
I
say.
was just blathering on
Um,
about.
oh, right. The last 3 weeks that I've been doing the program, Deb and I are doing the same program. We're on the same day. I have done so many breakthroughs on my body. And I mean, if I had just kept believing the stories that I was telling myself and believing the limiting beliefs, I don't know. It just feels so good to be able to break through them and like see the progress that's happening. You know, I told myself through like those first 2 weeks that I couldn't do a lot of the exercises. And like today, I was wobbling and shaking all over, but I did the side plank knee pulls, all 15 of
I was
them,
wobbling too. My feet kept
right?
sliding out on me. I was
Yeah,
like,
but
what
we
the
did
heck?
it.
Yeah.
And I think that is the most powerful thing when we're doing these breakthroughs. And the fact that we're doing this together, it's so cool to see you doing things that you said you couldn't do and me doing things like you guys.
Mhm.
Here's an example. Dev and I did a workout together. I think it was like the second week, and I struggled so hard. And she could see it, and she was like, "Girl, we need to do a breakthrough." And I was like, oh. It was like that. Okay, yes, we do. And we did it. And the next day, I powered through the whole entire workout, every single move. I was crying because I was so proud of myself and just like feeling this shift of like, holy crap, I can do these things that I've been telling myself that I can't do. And my body is strong. And the breakthroughs just like kept coming, and all of these things just kept surfacing. And I've been able to let go of so many things. I mean, it's an 80-day program and we're 21 days in, and I'm already so excited about the growth that both of us both of us are having. Yeah, it's just incredible to recognize those stories and be able to shift and let them go, because our bodies can do incredible things.
Mhm. Well, and I'll share like this other little story about our body, and then maybe um, we'll be probably close to being done. But
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we could talk for hours.
yeah, we could. We always could. But yeah, no, I'm in a part of a mastermind group, and right now we are focusing on like our health and fitness. And so one of the guys in the group, he had wanted to do I think his goal is to get to a 3-minute plank, I want to say. But we've been documenting on like Google Docs, and he had stayed at like 1 minute over the last 3 weeks. So the first time he posted the 1 minute, he was like 3 exclamation marks, super excited. Then the next time was like 1 minute and a sad face. And then the next one after that was just 1 minute and he had nothing. So it's like if that doesn't show you like the dissension of like how you go when you
Yeah,
have a limiting belief, it's like
yeah,
first you hit your goal of what you think you can do, right?
yeah.
And then it kind
And
of,
you're
and then when you
so,
don't go past that, you're just like
yeah,
disappointed, and then you come to this place of kind of like defeat where you
yeah,
don't really feel anything about it.
yeah.
So anyways, he had a belief breakthrough on the call with one of the ladies, and she got down with him and she did the plank, and she was just like talking, and we were all rooting him on, and he didn't know what time like we were timing it for him, but he didn't know the time, and he wanted to hit 2 minutes, and he made it to 2 minutes and 6 seconds.
Oh my
And
goodness.
he had only made it to a minute, because when your mind gives up, your body gives up.
Absolutely.
And so
Yeah,
that shows you the power of belief breakthrough. Like he had
yeah,
people rooting for him. He had this breakthrough of like um he just like he couldn't finish things the way he wanted to, or something, like it was something to do with
right.
like that.
Yeah,
And it affected, and it had nothing to do with working out, but it affected
yeah,
his the way he worked out and how he showed up for himself, because as you do one thing, you do all things.
Yes.
And so he did it, he made it through, he hit the 2-minute marker, he jumped up. Like, think about that. That's like an
That's
entire
amazing.
other minute. Like, you were double what you did, what you thought was possible.
I
So
love
that
it.
just shows you how powerful when you can get through something, like, and break through something that is hindering you in your mindset, and get through that, then you can push yourself, and you can push yourself physically. You can push
Yes.
yourself in relationships, you can push yourself with wealth, all these things, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I love it so much. We really do have an incredible gift, these bodies that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think this is a good place to close. I'm excited. I had a really fun time talking about this.
Yeah, me too.
For sure. So let us all know, you guys, what you think. We love sharing these little chats with you, and love knowing what your thoughts are, what your experiences are, and how you feel about these topics.